Well, hello, friends. Father Frank Pavone here, National Director of Priests for Life. Welcome to our program. And today, I am really delighted to have a special guest with us who is going to inspire you, just as she inspires me and many other people. Joining us from Nevada, near Lake Tahoe, is Janie Johnson. Now, she is an author. She is a social media influencer, a mom, and she is one of the world's greatest tennis players, and much, much more. Janie Johnson, welcome. It's so great to talk to you.
Oh, thank you for having me, Father Frank. You're like my fave. I'm blushing being on with you. You're just so amazing. And thank you for all the work that you do and every day saving our babies and speaking up for all of our voiceless. I just look up to you. It's inspiration. So thank you.
Well, thank you so much. And of course, it's an honor to do all this work. And one of the great joys of it, along with saving these lives and helping people in despair, is encountering people like you. And you and I, of course, have both had that experience, especially through social media, that we just meet some of the greatest people in the world, don't we? That are giving of themselves, loving our country, and loving the Lord and loving the unborn. I want to talk to you about a little bit about yourself and your background. First of all, I want you to know that when I was in grade school, one of the things I asked my parents if I could do was to take tennis lessons. And so I spent, I think it was about probably 2 years. And I remember how much I loved it, going for the lessons. And I still have my tennis racket somewhere, somewhere at home. But tell us about your success as a tennis player.
Oh, thank you, Father. You're going to love this. Your audience is probably going to love this too, because I am also the youngest of 9 children. And so what does a mother do? I had 7 brothers. She needs us out of the house. So she signed us up for tennis lessons at the park. She signed us up for basketball. Get out of here, go outside, go play. So
right.
Brothers, I was 5 or 6 years old, and my brothers took me to the park and we started playing. I don't know, 7, 8 years old. I loved it. And then my brother got to go play a tournament in Portland. And I'm like, oh, that sounds so great. Let's go play a tournament. They're like, oh, no, you can't play. You have to learn how to keep score. You need to do this. You need to do that. But you can play the next one. We're by my grandma's house in a town called Yakima, Washington. Well, it turns out it was a sectional championships and I was 8 years old, but I won it. And I'd love it fair began. And I just loved it, and I watched it, and I wanted to play. So I just worked really hard, would play. And you'll love this too, because my father would always have to go to mass on Sunday mornings. Had to, wanted to, loved it. I'm going to go play my tennis match. So I always thought I actually had an inside advantage. So in my world travels, I got to go see all the best churches in the world. And, I'm thinking I was blessed, on Sundays, I had an advantage because I had God on my side. And anyway,
that's right.
I became a #1 junior tennis player when I was 18. I went to UCLA. I was a 3-time All-American, won Pac-10s. And then I became a professional tennis player, and I got to play all 4 Wimbledons and travel the world and became 106 in the world. And it just gave me a view of the world that has stuck with me today, about how fortunate we are to be that privilege that everyone talks about. It's the American privilege. But even more than that, it's that privilege to know God and to love God and to be able to see creations from everywhere.
That is awesome. Well, congratulations on that. That's quite an accomplishment. And I always look up to athletes. I really do, because it's never been even though I took tennis lessons, played other sports in school, but it's never been a strong area of mine. But so I really look up to people like you in that arena.
We'll have to play one day. It's fun. It's just enjoyable.
One of these days, yeah, please give me some lessons. That would be an honor.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm a very good teacher.
So listen, you wrote several books, and I noticed the title of one of them is, isn't it, Don't Steal My Lemonade Stand?
Yeah.
Tell me about that. What's the idea behind that? Who's trying to steal the lemonade stand?
Yeah, so my youngest son at the time, Sammy, he was 10 years old, and we're sitting at the kitchen, at the counter, and he said, "Mommy, how do you know who to vote for?" And I said, whoever makes government smaller, whoever gives less money to the government. And then as your children can say, they said, why? And I had all 4 of my boys staring at me, waiting for my great profound answer. And I said, well, because we have principles. You know, we have free market capitalism, limited government, personal responsibility, love of God and our fellow man. They're staring at me. And then I went and I told my husband that I came up with these 4 or 5 principles. And he looked at me and he only had 4 or 5. And so he sent me 11. I sent him 3. And we ended up with like 30 principles. Like, we need to teach our kids this. They're not going to learn in our schools. So I wrote this great treatises and stuff, and they just looked at me. And then I said, oh, we need to put it on their level. And so we'll do it at the level of a lemonade stand, which became a metaphor for free market capitalism, everything that's great about the founding of our country, to be able to teach them. Right. And then my friend Roy Wilson, he's like, oh, he'll do some cartoons. He did the Winnie the Pooh cartoons, and he was tired of the leftist onslaught in the comic book and the Disney world. And so we had conservative kids overcoming obstacles in a lemonade stand using proven conservative principles. And then I put 6 parables in there to help kids really understand. And then and then I found out that not only did we not remind our kids why we had to teach our kids why America was exceptional and the whole world, is that we had to remind parents and other adults and citizens why America was exceptional, so they could teach their kids. Yes. Kids today not learning civics, they didn't know, and they needed to be reminded. And so then I'm like, okay, I'll break the book up into 50 chapters. I'll have the cartoon about the kids, and then I'll have the words to explain it, so the parents can read the 3 or 4 page chapter. Kids can, and they have a discussion. And so, as you know, the rest is history. It became an Amazon #1 bestseller. I was on Fox News 500 radio, and I was just a mom, a parent, just out fighting for our kids. And I had no idea what I got myself into. And I didn't realize how much America, God, country, families were under assault, that people didn't want to have me on and talk about our Constitution and talk about how great America was. And that my topic was controversial, teaching kids constitutional values, our laws come from God, not from man, not from the government. And it was just mind-blowing to me. It
is mind-blowing. There's so much that people need to learn. For those that are just joining us, by the way, Father Frank Pavone here on endabortion.tv, and we're talking with Janie Johnson, who is an author, a social media influencer, and just a great voice for our conservative values. We're talking about some of her books. So Janie, a political expert broke it down for me one time this way, and it's really, it should be common knowledge, but it's often not. He says, look, when you look at America, so many things have been invented in America that now the whole world enjoys, and we take it for granted, as part of daily life, cell phones and email and all this stuff, and not to mention more basic inventions. And it's the creativity of people, of course, that God gives them as a gift. But he pointed this out to me. He said, look, if somebody gets an idea and says, I want to make something, or I want to make a better version of something, what's going to happen to that motivation if they realize that as soon as they do that, the fruit of their work is going to end up being owned by the government? And this discussion came about because of, all the discussion that's been going on, the debate going on in our country, especially the last few years, about socialism. And people are so ignorant, you hear these younger people say, oh yeah, socialism is a great thing. We ought to be social with one another. And it's like, no, you're not getting it. But this idea, that the fruit of our labors is ours. And of course, we want to be generous. We're sharing it with us. We want to help other people. But walk people through this fundamental concept. Because if the fruit of our labor is not ours, if the government ends up owning everything, why would people want to make a better version of this or compete with each other to come up with better ideas, right?
Well, absolutely. That's the whole part, is that God makes us unique and individual with our own special talents. Just like you said, you can't be a Pete Sampras. I can't be a Michael Jordan. We have to do the best of our abilities. And that when we can go out and innovate and create a product that people want to buy, that's the essence of free market capitalism. And that by me doing my own through my own innovations, my own hard work, sweat, perseverance, creativity, never giving up, personal responsibility. By me doing that for my own, quote, greediness, as the left wants to say it, I create a value and products that other people want to buy.
Yeah.
And that provides a common good to other people. And that's the premier thing that people do not understand about free market capitalism. If my product isn't any good, people don't buy it. You don't make money on something that is not bought. And so when people try to say that, oh, capitalism is greedy, I always like to use the example that no, capitalism and the makers are not greedy for wanting to better themselves and create products. And maybe a CEO will make a lot of money, but when he makes a lot of money, he's provided products that millions of people want to buy. And so It's not the CEO that's greedy. His product margins are not that great, and he has to hire people. It's the customers, it's people who are greedy. When you go to the store to buy a carton of eggs, do you buy the $3, the $4, or the $5 carton of eggs? You know, each of them has a great story. You're supporting families and so forth and so on. But customers will buy the $3 carton of eggs. They don't buy the $5 carton of eggs. And that's what capitalism offers, are choices. And people go to Whole Foods and buy the $5 special hen vegetarian eggs. Okay, that's the beauty of it. But what free market capitalism does, it raises the tide for all the ships, and that it provides the money and societal wealth that allows us to take care of the unfortunate. And that is what this message has lost on with free market capitalism and conservatism, is that we help the truly poor and needy, and it provides the money and resources to eradicate poverty and to feed people, not just in America, but around the world. And it helps us to create opportunities for the moochers and everyone else to go back to work. And that's a simple concept, and that's what God has given us, to go help ourselves so we can help other people. And if you don't want to go help yourself, there's a remedy for that. It's called work. You need to go out and work and earn your own way. And so it's a very clear distinction, and we can't keep letting government include moochers and people in this category where they don't go out and work for themselves. It's not helping anyone, and it actually is worse. It steals, when the capable steal and take government subsidy, they're stealing from the truly poor and needy, because now those resources are now not available to help our homeless, to help our vets, and to help the children that need it. And so that's so important, is to prioritize our resources. And what free market capitalism provides is this unlimited amount of money that should be going to help the poor and needy, and not this unlimited trough of buying votes and programs, 184 welfare programs the government now has. They can't say those all work. So that's the basic part of free market capitalism that I tried to get across to my kids on a lemonade stand, is that, and in the early part of the book, is that not everybody is born in America. And you're born into a big hole of poverty and despair, like in England. You can only be what your dad was, or somewhere else. They don't have money. They don't even have clean water. They don't have food. And that's what free market capitalism is, that ladder that you can climb out of however hard you want to work, following your ideas and your innovative work and thoughts and help from people, and climb out of the hole and become as successful as you want to be with your own talents.
Exactly. Well, it's very consistent, isn't it, with the gospel? Jesus has a number of places where he praises ingenuity, productivity, diligence, creativity. The parables of the talents are very, very clear. And, America is a land of opportunity. It's not like, oh, let's give everybody the same outcome. No, let's give everybody the same opportunity. And there's nobody who, if they are committed to work hard, play by the rules, be a law-abiding citizen, and do what needs to be done, there's nobody that can't rise up that ladder as you described.
Yeah, without the government greasing it up and keeping us into that hole. They want to keep us down and dependent on welfare and dumb in our schools and our government, and they don't want you to climb out. I believe that they don't want us to be. They want us dumbed down and dependent so they can control us and be the government, and even father, even look at Speaker Pelosi, she's trying to take away gender names. Why? Because she wants to take away the mother, the father, and children, make everybody one, and then there's no more legality, there's no more rights to the family, to destroy nuclear family. And I know we're kind of off subject there, but it's so important that, we hold true to our values and our morality.
Exactly. It's so crucial. And so again, for those that are joining us, we're talking with Janie Johnson, and among many other things, she is an author. And we have now this. I don't know if this is your latest book, but I just got it for myself. Think America Great: Quick Truths for Political Pop Culture. Of course, we have become accustomed to that beautiful phrase, "Make America Great Again." And tell me about this book, Think America Great.
Well, I had unfortunately, my husband passed, and I'd been trying to write a few other books, but while I was caring for him, I trying to get my message out of lemonade stand and peace, prosperity, children, all of our free market values. I had some really top tweets and truths that really resonated with people, and people was like, "Janie, these are really good. Where can I find them? Where can I get them? This is good. We need to win the war of talking points." The liberals always have these really sound good, emotional arguments. And we try to explain, but it takes essays and 10 minutes. So I'm like, I'll just put a book. I'll put top 40 subjects with all my top truths that have trended and had over 1,000 retweets on Twitter. And I'll just list them. And we need to win this election. And here, I'm going to put this book out. Everybody can get them, copy them. I don't want any credit. We just got to win the war, abortion. We've got to win, free market capitalism, defense, foreign policy, all the 40 different chapters I have in there. And so people are like, "Oh, that's good. That's quick. That's good." So I said, we got to think America great. We all can win this. And so I just wanted to give people opportunities. This is, Twitter is about, these are the truths. We've got to win the war on this talking points, and we have to, change hearts and win minds. And I just believe we've got to inform and educate and activate and do the best we can with that. And I felt this was people just don't want to read a whole book, And I thought,
it has a very interesting format. I started reading it expecting to, read as you do in most books, paragraphs after paragraphs. And all of a sudden I said, wow, isn't this interesting? You've got like literally, it's like tweets, right? You've got one after another numbered. Let me just read a few of them here from the chapter. All people created somewhat equal under government. So it starts off, limited government is not just a conservative slogan. It was born as an escape from tyranny and despotism. This must be taught. That's number one. Then it goes, number two, choose freedom, not bigger government, period. Then number three, another, and it's just, it's very easy to read, obviously. And also it seems like what you're doing here, you're literally equipping people with these nuggets of truth and wisdom and inspiration to then pass along, whether it's on social media or talking with their family and friends. It's an interesting style.
No, thank you. It's a new style, obviously, but I just had so many people asking for it. And I said, this is it. I just want to go forward. I'm going to do my part. So I did it, and it's been quite successful, I have to say. I bet. Yeah, people are loving it. They just go back and they go back and then they go back. They're like, well, it's a lot at once. But then we just read one and then we read another one and then they go back, and they're like, wow, we need this. If everybody had this book. So I'm proud of it. And I was, hopefully influence the election to win like I did in 2016, Father Frank. So I just want to say, everyone can make a difference what you decide to do. I'm a mom in Nevada. And so for the 2016 presidential election, I was ranked by MIT Social Media as the 105th most social media influencer for the presidential election. I was ahead of Elizabeth Warren, I was ahead of the DNC. So all these truths helped influence in 2016 on Twitter, but not everybody's on Twitter. They don't know tweets. So I call them truths. They're facts. They're right. And so you can go get them and read. So I'm just trying to educate and inform people. And I don't want everyone to agree, but these are discussion points. Okay, let's discuss it.
That's right. It starts a discussion. It gets people thinking, and so forth. In the political realm, now it seems to me, to correct me if I'm wrong, but you got involved in politics precisely because of um, of the issues. I mean, it's the same with me. You know, for me, the abortion issue drove me into getting involved in the political arena. What is your advice for people right now? I mean, we have made a lot of progress, even in this election. There were a lot of victories. We got a lot of victories on the state level. We held back the Democrats in the House of Representatives, for example, and also in the Senate. They didn't get as many victories as they wanted. But what do you say to people now? They might be very frustrated about politics, but certainly there's a lot to be done, and there's a lot of opportunity, it seems to me, lying right ahead of us.
Well, right now I say, save your Twitter account. Try to save your social media. Do not get banned and suspended. So as you know, we can't talk about that FRAUD word.
Right.
Any of that. We're not going to say any of that. Save your account. Hopefully things will mellow back out and we can go back on. But as in anything in life that's worth fighting for, it requires work and hard work, and we're smarter. And as we have God, we have the Bible, we have the Constitution, we have free markets, we have guns, we have everything on our side. Only if we don't give up.
Right.
We can never give up, never surrender. It's worth fighting for. Freedom isn't free, and we have to keep fighting because there's people that live in the dark, and it all shall come out in the light. But we can never stop. And so we just have to regroup, figure it out, what it is, and keep going. Like I said, we got to inform and educate, and maybe get new voting machines.
Yes. Now, Janie, this on the issue of abortion, what do you say to people? I mean, what do people need to understand about this very, very controversial topic?
So as you know, I'm very vocal. I'm very pro-life. I have been my entire life. My first question is to people. I said, okay, you can pro-choice. You want to murder a baby, kill the baby, whatever you say, oh, that's not what I'm doing. It's not, it's a clump of cells. I said, okay, whatever you say, but if it was a puppy or an eagle, I said, so what point does the baby or a puppy or an owl, when do they get societal support? When does society protect it? I said, you protect the puppy, you protect the owl. When does the baby? Okay. And so then they're like, well, it's not really a baby. And then I'm like, well, if a fetus is not alive at any point in its development, then why is it necessary to kill it? So you have to try to use logic and help them understand it's a baby, and we have to fight for it. And there's a certain point, because I think we have to, win hearts, change minds, and show people that life is family. It's babies. It's God, and killing are miracles. I pray every day that God bless America and us for allowing this to happen on our watch. Over 55 million babies. I don't even know the latest number. It's the most horrible decision ever made by man. January 22nd, 1973 is the worst day, I believe, in American history, where it allowed the butcher of so many babies. And so I fight for it all day, every day. I'm pro-life. Ways we win it, I try to get people to look at the ultrasounds. I get the graphic view of what actually happens. I tell people about partial birth abortion. They don't believe me. I say, no, the baby's born, they suck the brain out. They don't believe me.
No.
Nobody believes. They go, that doesn't happen. That they don't do this. I try to tell them what happens in Planned Parenthood rooms. They have to go for 5 visits before the baby is murdered. And I'm like, no, they don't. They put them in one room, second room, third room. 15 minutes later, the baby's dead. I said, no, we need to pray for them. And then the arguments about, sorry, I get a little emotional, Father Frank. And then they say, oh, well, the foster system. And then we have to support them. And I'm glad they're all murdered. I'm like, that's not the argument to murder babies. That's the argument to reform our foster care system.
That's right. That's right.
We need to do better. So are you volunteering to help and make this a better system? Okay.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
so I have personal experiences, and my brother, I choose to tweet and support in pro-life. on my tweets and to expose and try to inform, educate. I have a whole chapter in the book, chapter 15, safe, frequent, because it's supposed to be rare and infrequent, but no, it's not. My brother's a Knights of Columbus up in Washington State in the Tri-Cities. He said to tell you hello. You're one of his favorites. And he prays every month at the Capitol for our babies. So not only do we have to pray, we have to inform, we got to change minds. And it's working. So I've been trying to get people to say, okay, let's pick a point when the baby gets societal protection, work backwards. Not that I want to. I could just go in, right, and say, stop. I say, at what point does a baby get societal? And, some people will say, well, conception, 1 month, 3 months. I said, well, at the point it lives on its own. So like at 5 months, babies live at 5 months.
That's right.
And they say, okay, so I just won this person over by let's make abortion illegal, save babies at 5 months on. Okay. And we do. We need to move it backwards and say, oh, absolutely I am. You can see the heart beating. You see an ultrasound. I mean, you see it all the time when people see the baby, the ultrasound, and they're like, oh, and we need to do more of that instead of hiding it. Exactly. Well, you're doing a great job bringing all this to people's attention, and that's why I am one of your number one fans. And thank you for everything that you've done. Why don't we say a little prayer for our viewers right now? Can I just say one more thing? I have sorry to interrupt, but I want you to know it's like very personal for me. I want to share a personal story.
Sure.
Rob said it might help one person. Was that my grandmother was a product of rape back in North Dakota in a one-room schoolhouse.
Wow.
And she chose to have my mother, had to go hide it. I don't have to hide today. I can help, and that it's okay. And to give the baby up for adoption, and everything is fine and everything will turn out. So that's my passion. So just so you know why it's my whole life. And it was not, we didn't hide it. Some people thought maybe it was a secret or should be ashamed. But no, God gave us this life and we fight for it. And I just hope I can, like I tell you on Twitter every day, I just want to help change one person's mind, just one a day. And in a year we have 365. I've been doing it 12 years, so maybe I've saved or changed one person's mind. I believe I have because, MIT said I did. I don't know.
Praise God.
But anyway, that's my personal story, and that maybe it will help somebody, and that it's fine. This today may look dark and cloudy and horrible, but there's a tomorrow and a brighter tomorrow. And that somebody else will take that child and be able to love it and take care of it.
That's right. Well, praise God for that. Hope saves lives. Exactly. Well, thank you, Janie, for this conversation. And let's pray. Lord, bless Janie and her children and just all her work and activities. Thank you, Lord, for the influence that you've been able to have through her. And thank you for the influence, Lord, that you have to bless your people through all of us that are gathered here for this program. Show each person the opportunities they have, the good they can accomplish, and the lives they can save and the hearts and minds they can reach. And give them always, Lord, your protection and your strength